Hello YouTube and welcome back to Cover 2 Credits. We've hinted throughout our various videos today that we're going to start a new thing, even though we've never really continued any of our old things, but we'll work on that. Point being, today we are going to do what we are going to call the Cover 2 Credits Extended Cut. And this is going to be a much more long-form sort of discussion. It'll be much more podcast, we hope, or end up that way. We'll really dig down into some things, not necessarily even media-related, but
there's
just
some random topics, things that, I'll tell you the truth, we both have a memo pad. Anytime something comes up in our lives, day to day, that I think it'll be interesting to talk about, in the book. So I just gave him his today. So today we've got a handful of mine, and we have one topic we've talked about. He hasn't seen these. I want to see his reactions right off the bat. So, should we begin with our topic, the one you had talked about earlier, or something in the book?
let's go to the book.
Okay, so I was recently out of town for a graduation and a wedding.
Mm-hmm.
Whilst downtown, or out of town, we were staying in a suburb of a city, and my cousin and I were going to his car to get something outside of the hotel. And the car pulls up, and lady, seemingly, we thought asking us for directions, ends up asking us for money. Now, we don't live in a large enough area where you have people panhandling.
Mm-hmm.
But asking strangers for money, not talking homeless-wise.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
It's always an interesting thing. I've had it happen to me a few times when I went to college.
That to me, though, bigger city, I can see that. I'm talking more like if a fellow student randomly asked you for money at college. Or I've been with my family, my mom's in front of like a Walmart or some store where there's those claw machines, and a little kid walks up to someone they don't know, my mom, and says, "Do you have $1 so I can play this game?" That's very odd to me.
I would say that would be odd as well.
Now, continue what you're saying though. I understand. This is not. I'm not talking homeless wise.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole different thing. If someone's panhandling because they don't have any other option, that's something
Mm-hmm.
different. I'm saying this lady was driving in a car asking for money for gas when my cousin standing next to me was at the right angle to see that her gas tank is full. And she's so it's just like things like that, and that's what I was like. I want to see what you thought.
I don't know. It's it amazes me sometimes what people will do, especially people who are desperate or think they are desperate.
That's a lot of it. They're desperate.
Maybe it was the way I was raised, but to me, asking someone for money is very humiliating for me.
Yeah.
If I had to go to someone and be like, "I'm sorry,
You don't want to do that. Yeah.
I need money." Even when I was in college and I was broke and didn't have any money to do things, to me that was embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, asking for someone for money to me it's the ultimate. Maybe it's just masculine pride, but to me that is one of the ultimate expressions of weakness. I mean, granted, now I have a decent job. It's not a great job, but it's an okay job. I live on my own. I'm a bachelor. I've got enough money to do pretty much whatever the hell I want to do. If I want to waste it on something, I just waste it. If I want to buy something, I just buy it. And that's where I'm at. And to me, that has always been, but I live well within my means. Honestly, I could probably do a little better in terms of my car and my apartment, but I like having the money on hand so I never get to that point. I hate being in debt. I hate being in debt to people. I hate being in debt to banks. I hate being in debt to anyone. I paid cash for my car. I pay my apartment, obviously every month. But like I said, I hate having that hang over my head. I hated having student loans. Paid all those off already. And like I said, it's being in debt irks me on some fundamental level, and I don't think I could ever go up to someone and just ask them for money.
Yeah.
Like, if it's like $1 and I need a soda, like, I'll ask someone I know, like one of my buddies.
Not
But
the
I would
same
never
thing.
just go up to a stranger and ask them for money.
No. That's what I'm talking
unless
about.
it was not for me, and I had to do so on behalf of someone else because it had come to that.
Yep.
I would feel it was a horrible thing for me to do, but I would do it if I had to.
Exactly. And that's kind of where I was. I thought, I mean, I was definitely not raised that you did that, and yet it happens.
Yeah, and I mean, I've been panhandled before. I've been asked for money for people before. I mean, there's been a couple occasions I've been asked for money a few times. Like I said, mostly it was at college when I lived in the city. It's happened to me since then, since I moved back to Peoria.
Mm-hmm.
I know I was at a gas station one night about 3 a.m. Making a Pepsi run, and a guy came up to me and asked me for a couple bucks, and I was like, now. When I was in college, I was broke. Not just a little broke. I was literally like penniless.
Yeah.
And this dude comes up to me in a official NBA Atlanta Hawks jersey, like with the authentic like pet. You know what one of those costs?
Exactly.
Like 150 bucks easy.
Yep.
For one of those. And I'm in hand-me-down jeans with holes in them and a shitty t-shirt. And I'm like, your shirt costs more than everything I own. There's no way I'm giving you money.
Yeah.
You're in $100 pair of Michael Jordan Air shoes, and you're asking me for money? I have $5 in my pocket, and I'm going to spend $1.50 on this Pepsi. Like, that is all I have to my name. And it's just baffling. On the other hand, I was also down working on a project in the business center, and the janitor came up to me. He was like, hey, dude. He's like, I forgot my wallet at home. Can you give me 70 cents to get on the bus? And I was like,
that makes sense.
All right, maybe he's like $1.20. He's like, can you give me $1.20 for the bus? And I was like,
different circumstance. Yep.
Easily, that is yes to me.
Yeah.
If you give me a specific dollar amount, and you give me a reason, and I buy it, I will give money to people.
The difference becomes then you know it's not drugs or booze.
And he could have been lying to me.
What's $1.20 gonna get? I mean,
but yeah, but like I said,
that's what I'm saying. He's not gonna take that.
I gave him the money. It's like it's such a small amount to me that it doesn't matter, and then it would matter, but because like I said, I was poor then, but
still,
it's a little enough, and it's for a good cause. And like I said, he was right there.
Yep.
I saw him there all the time in the building. Mm-hmm. I knew he worked there. And like I said, that to me is a different situation. But yeah, like I said, I don't think I could ever do that. And if I ever caught my kids doing it, I would be furious.
Well, and I think that's what happened the day that that happened with Mom. I think like an older brother or sister came out and goes, we don't do that.
And somewhere along the line. If it's a little kid, I understand.
I agree.
They don't necessarily know better. But like I said,
I just thought I'd bring up the example as more than anything. Mm-hmm. But that happened to me, and like I said, it's happened before when we're in bigger cities, but that's usually, like I said, more of the homeless side than just someone doing it. But that was my first topic that I wrote down. Interacting with new people, you will never escape people that are just hateful to be hateful. Rude to be rude. My topic is, why be an ass?
You know, that's an interesting point.
Why?
And that is, again, one thing that has never made a lot of sense to me.
At all. To me, at all.
To me, or at least the way I view the human condition and human nature in general, is that people are not necessarily evil at base. People are not necessarily good at base. I don't believe that humans have the capacity for extreme situations of being both good and evil.
Yes.
But at base, I think people are mostly just lazy. And some of that can end up being good, some of that can end up being bad. And people are also extremely selfish.
Yes.
Which, again, can lead people to do good actions, can lead people to do bad actions. You know, if you give money to the poor, to me, you're not doing so to give money to the poor. You're doing so because giving money to the poor makes you feel good about yourself. It is, at root, a selfish action. Mm-hmm. Now, that action being a benevolent action isn't necessarily a negative. I'm not knocking people who do that. I'm saying, though, at root, that is a selfish intention.
Because on some level, you're doing it in hopes that someone else knows you did it.
Well, it's not even that. You're doing it because you know you did it, and you get that feeling of having done something good. And I think that moral drive,
That makes sense.
even though it is again a benevolent action, you do it for a selfish reason.
Yeah.
And like I said, that's not bad or good. It just is.
Yep.
Now, being a jerk to someone though, that to me doesn't make sense.
No.
I mean, we're not talking even, you know, there are people who are sociopaths who just don't care about anyone else, and they literally they don't have the capacity at all for empathy at all.
Yeah.
And I understand that, but a pure sociopath will treat people not with empathy or compassion, but they will do so with caution, I guess would be the word. Is a sociopath isn't going to come up to you and just be a jerk because they don't care enough about you to be a jerk.
Mm-hmm.
They don't understand you. To continue,
Yeah.
even a sociopath is not going to come up to you and they're going to be a jerk to you because they don't care enough about you to be a jerk
Exactly.
to you. Being a jerk to someone, you are doing so because you want to be.
Yeah.
Because you are gaining something out of inflicting a negative emotion on someone else.
Which is what I never got. That never made sense to me because my thought is, why go out of my way to make an enemy?
Mm-hmm.
And like, life's too short to do that.
Yeah, like I said, it's the same. It's my theory on lies is the only people I will ever lie to is people that I like, because I don't care enough about someone else to bother.
Yep.
If I tell someone the truth, and even if it's an unfortunate truth,
Still the truth.
I don't care.
Yep.
Because they, to me, don't mean enough for me to degrade myself by going through the effort of making up a lie.
Agreed.
I will just tell you what I think.
Agreed. And like,
that might not necessarily be good, but that is at least truth.
yeah.
Now, the same thing applies with being a jerk to me. Is why would I be a jerk to someone who I have never met?
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason for me to be a jerk.
And that's my main example. Like, if it's somebody I know who we joke around with or who's just that way, that happens.
I mean, if you have come to me and you have done something to me that has aggravated me, I will be a jerk to you.
That's a different circumstance.
But you've done something to me to shift my view of you from neutral to bad.
My main example is not knowing it's someone, a complete stranger, especially in our area, where everyone acknowledges everyone. Where you, not Peoria, I'm talking here.
Yeah.
You know, you wave at people you don't know because they wave, or you acknowledge people you don't know because they acknowledge you, whether that's a nod or a smile or a hi, whatever. That to me bothers me, and I know bigger cities are a different thing, but when it's a bigger city, even in a smaller, intimate thing, some of that should still be there, to me. That's just my thought. And I know you grew up in different places, that's a big issue. But, like, when you're sitting somewhere and someone walks up and, let's say you're sitting at a table with other chairs around, and someone in a restaurant or something comes up to needs one of those chairs, what would the normal thing be? Ask if someone's using said chair?
Yeah. Hey, do you need a chair for anything? We need another one.
But the jerk would just walk up and not look at you, take the chair, and walk away. Specific example, but that's when I thought in my head, I'm like, I'm not easy to miss. Like, I'm sitting here, like, you're not gonna not see me.
I don't know.
So I was just like, okay, so I'm not gonna go out of my way to talk to you or help you in any way.
Acknowledge your presence.
Yeah, so I'm like, whatever. That's my thing. It's like, I was raised that everyone got a fair shake until they took that away from themselves. There was no reason you ever thought negative of somebody until there was a reason to.
Exactly.
So
don't judge your first impression.
Exactly.
Judge your first impressions on what someone does.
Well, in this scenario, there was no first impression. That was the judgment. Like, that's what aggravates me. I'm like, I know you don't not see me. I know that's a double negative, but you know what I'm saying? I know that's not the issue. So I'm like, That it just seemed asinine to me. But I don't know. That was just the tipping point that kind of pissed me off that day.
I don't know. Like I said, it's I've had it happen before. Especially in the thing that I don't understand is people being jerks to waiters for bad food.
Yeah.
And it's like they didn't cook it.
No.
Why do you care?
And they have to deal with so much other.
Yeah, they have to deal with everybody all the time, and it's like, why are you screaming at this kid who's making $8 an hour?
And basically, that's what our thoughts were with the being rude thing. It's like there's no real reason to go down that path for the randomness of just to do it.
To me, it is the social equivalent of torturing animals.
Yeah.
It is a person who is incapable of empathy and does not see an animal as a creature worthy of notice would never torture one. Because there's no reason for them to do so. They don't care enough about that creature in order to inflict pain on it. Because to them, it does not exist.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
Like I said, it's like the sociopath example. Yeah. They aren't cruel to people because they don't view people as people. However, if being rude to someone for no reason, like I said, you are doing it because you know that they are people, and you enjoy doing something to them that you know will frustrate, aggravate, and injure them in some way.
That is a different thought to me.
To me, that is a
malicious thought.
Much more, as Thayer said, a much more malevolent and problematic psychological condition.
Yes.
Because it's it's sadistic is what it is, literally. It is in getting enjoyment out of others' agony and pain. And that, to me, is a much more destructive impulse than pure apathy.
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you, empathy, I think, is dwindling as these generations go on. Because empathy is something that does have to be taught. You have to be raised to have empathy for others.
In some degrees, yes. I think there's a baseline of human condition, and I know especially children have a hard time grasping that.
I agree.
Children are very, very selfish creatures.
Well, I'll give you an example. I'm in grad school, so I'm dealing with kids who have gotten out of college. My field is a lot of athletes that have just gotten straight out of playing for 4 years. Our instructor says, okay, we'll go around the room, there's like 25 or something like that. Everybody given a characteristic that they have that is going to be good for what they're doing. I'm the last person to go, and obviously I'm trying to think of anything that nobody else hasn't said, because you don't want nobody was trying to double it. So they're going through. Finally, it hits me. I can empathize with people pretty, not easily, but I can get in their headspace easily.
You're a friendly guy.
Yeah.
People like you.
Yeah, they talk to me a lot about anything and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoy that. But because of that, I can relate to how they're feeling and try to help with that.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing I come up with is empathy. And as soon as I bring it up, the teacher says, the only person that said anything close to that was compassion, but that's not the same thing. Being compassionate to others and being empathetic to others is not the same thing. And even he stated, myself, 2 other guys in the class are older than everybody else. Mm-hmm. And he said, the difference in generation between you guys and these guys, empathy and compassion are one of the big changes. Because as they get younger, it's that I'm not here to help you. I'm here
to help myself.
I'm here to do better than you, and to help myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not always the same. I mean, that's what I mean by, I think as these generations go, the side of empathy of being taught that is going away, because the parents weren't taught that.
Well, yes, and it's definitely a cultural thing as well.
Oh, I agree completely.
And there's a lot of places in the world where being viewed as different than everyone else is a negative.
Yep.
An extreme negative in some cases.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in America, being top dog is everyone's dream.
Yep.
No one wants to be the follower. No one wants to be the office drone. Everyone wants to be in charge. and rich and famous. And in order to be that, the line between those who have and have not, to get my Marxism out of the way for the day, has become more and more stratified as time has gone on. With the advent of modern technology and the advent of these things, all of this stuff, the middle class has evaporated for all intents and purposes.
It doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist anymore. You are either rich or you are poverty.
Yep.
The middle class has effectively gone away. And people know that. People, for all of their ignorance and lack of common sense, are not stupid.
Yeah.
Well, they are stupid.
Well, that's a
but they're
different
not.
thing.
But they're not stupid in that
They're not
sense.
oblivious
They can
to it.
see what's going on around them, and they know that the only way they will ever have anything is if they separate themselves from other people. And it's almost like there's a layer of insulation that has begun to build up between people and other people. So you no longer, that lack of empathy for your fellow man allows you to do the things necessary to rise above them.
Or to stab them in the back.
Well, that's exactly it. Is, to us, doing that to someone is not worth it.
No.
Advancing my own career is not worth dragging down one of my coworkers.
Or getting somebody fired.
Or getting someone fired.
It's that idea. It's like...
Or throwing them under the bus for something you screwed up either as a team or you screwed up personally.
Yeah.
And throwing them under the bus would be an excellent way to shift the blame onto them and get you in the clear so you can continue to advance. But to me...
Well, and like you had said, you said that there's that line between the classes of there's a blatant difference. Well, to me, though, part of the thing that or if you're trying to separate yourself from the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Well, me going for the secondary education
Mm-hmm.
is that same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But in doing that, what I found in doing that was that even inside of the secondary education like that, the grad school, it's even not even worse, but it's the same there. It's because everybody there is trying to show the fact that if they get a chance to put their foot on your throat, they're going to put their foot on your throat.
Yeah, and they don't view that as a negative thing because that's the way the world works.
Exactly.
And that is the way the world works. It's unfortunate, but true.
Yep.
And we as a society have prepared them to do that. And I don't think I would be alone to say that is not necessarily a positive thing.
I don't think so. I mean, yeah.
Maybe it is, because
I think it depends on the field.
The greatest human achievements have often been done on the backs of those less fortunate. If you look at rapid advances in medical science with Hitler and the Jews and the Russians and just doing horrible, horrible things to people, have accomplished some really amazing things for humanity.
And no one's going to come out and say that. But
no one's going to come out and say that, but it's true.
Yeah.
If you look at the pyramids or the Panama Canal, how many hundreds and thousands of people were brutalized and murdered to build these monuments to human ingenuity? The number is staggering.
Mm-hmm.
And history has shown that only with great and sometimes terrible sacrifice can really amazing things be obtained. Now, maybe that's true, maybe that's not true, but the longer time goes on, the more it becomes clear that humans have caught on to that fact. And more have become willing to do so.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I'm sure our parents thought the same way about us, that we were a bunch of spoiled, self-centered idiots and we don't understand how things used to be. And as we've gotten older, we now see where they were coming from. Because the lines have gotten even darker and broader between every successive generation.
Yeah.
Like, I see the high school kids now, and like, my mother works at a high school, and she comes home with the stories. And it's not kids getting caught smoking in the bathroom or lighting up pot behind the class. It's rape, and it's beating kids within an inch of their life, and it's bad stuff that, to me, would be completely horrifying. Like, we grew up with a bunch of idiots in our class who have done a bunch of bad things, but there's a line in the sand of what is and is not allowable behavior.
There was even areas we didn't cross, but that's only been 10 years, too. That's the scary thought.
Yeah.
I've coached high school baseball for 9, so I see a lot of those kids, too. I'm dealing with a bubble of them, but I still see kind of the gamut. on the team. And I mean, just the way they interact with each other and the way they interact with adults or people that are in not command, but you know what I mean, like their superiors. It's completely changed from when we were in high school. And I mean, and I say that because it's like when our parents said that, there was a longer time between then and high school. For us, it's only been 10 years, so it's not as long. But the gap is still there, and it's just like, you know, I could go to any of the guys that just graduated from my baseball team and ask them what empathy is, and I don't think any of them could tell me. And that's maybe not to say that they don't have some empathy. I definitely would say there's a handful, there's at least a couple of them that don't. But I think, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, because about they can't tell me what it is, but there's a lot of people that probably couldn't define empathy that well. But what I mean is, like what my instructor was saying, my professor was saying, you know, the fact that that's going to be a rarity is, one, a sad thing, and two, something else that's going to make you a little bit maybe above someone else. You can empathize with whoever you have to deal with. You can relate. Other people, they don't care about that at all. That's a huge issue to me. But I think it's time to move on to the next topic.
I would say